guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, it's going to be a little bit different than anything I've filmed so far. It's just going to be a sit down chat and we're going to just talk about pretty much all the things. I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous to film this video. I'm actually extremely nervous to film this video. I feel like it's necessary because I feel like for this channel, for my Instagram, for my TikTok, all my social media platforms, I've been trying to do like a halfway version of what I want it to be because I've been scared to like go full out and talk about what I actually want to talk about and to show you guys why I feel the way I feel about certain things and all of that kind of stuff. I feel like it's only fair if I want to build a community of people where we can like be friends and just it feels safe for me and for you guys. I feel like I have to be open and honest with y'all so you feel like you can be open and honest with me. So with that being said, I have always struggled with depression. Well, maybe not always, but from a very early age, in my opinion. And these are my own like personal things. I know everyone's story is so different. Like for what I think is a young age to feel depression might not be young to you guys at all, or you might be like, you're so young, you don't know. Either way, this is strictly experiences that I've been through, experiences that maybe my loved ones have been through, or people that trust me have talked to me about it. Also, with that being said, trigger warning, we are going to be talking about depression, suicide, self-harm, all that stuff. If you're triggered by any of that stuff, this is a trigger warning. Please don't watch this if it is going to trigger anything for you. I have struggled with depression. I think the first time I realized that I had the first time that I really registered in my brain that I was not like feeling well and happy, I was in 7th grade. I remember it pretty well. The first thing I did, which is very dramatic of me maybe, but I got in a fight with someone in my family and I wrote a note that said no one would care if I wasn't here anymore, and like rolled it up in a big ball and like threw it down the stairs at them. And that like really was the first time that in my mind I felt like I let someone know that I wasn't feeling okay. And that's kind of the hard thing too, is it's really hard to let people know when you're not feeling okay. I feel like especially this was 10 years ago, especially back then. Like I didn't know what depression was. I didn't know that it was a thing. And I didn't know how to communicate that at all. And I went a lot of years being really horrible at communication and really horrible about communicating like how I was feeling. And I just expected people to know like if I was doing these things that they should know that I was feeling a certain way, where that is not the case at all. So anyway, I started feeling depressed around 7th grade. I started to self-harm in 7th grade. At that point, I do think that I developed an eating disorder. I have never been diagnosed with having an eating disorder, but the more that I reflect back on it and how my body is now, I definitely think that it was something that I struggled with. When I reflect back on it and the little bit of therapy I've gone to and stuff like that, it kind of turns into a thing where it's like I wanted control. In my life now, if you've watched any of my like wedding videos or anything like that, I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I felt really out of control when I was younger. And I think that's how I tried to cope, or how my body attempted to cope, was with how much food I was putting into my body. And I've always been a picky eater too, so I think that people just like associated it. Like I think that like my parents and other family members are like, yeah, she's a picky eater, she doesn't really like to eat anything, that's why she's so skinny, blah blah blah. And then that also started becoming like part of my personality. So anyone who struggled with an eating disorder, you kind of know that like people really talk a lot about how your body looks. I talk about it a lot in like my personal life now. I say like stop commenting on people's bodies. Do not comment, like, and it's just because like people don't know. Like even when people comment on my body now, I'm like, it almost like flips a switch in me, and I've really had to be really cautious and like self-aware through the wedding process, because a lot of people have asked me, they're like, so are you like going on a diet for the wedding? Like, oh, I like didn't eat the whole month before my wedding so that I would be skinnier on my wedding day, blah, blah. And I know that if I did something like that, I know myself well enough that it would not end well for me, and it would probably trigger some kind of mental flip that I feel like I have finally gotten over. I feel like this video is literally all over the place, but I promise it'll all come together, hopefully. I didn't even like really script what I was gonna say or anything like that. I just turned on the camera and I was like, all right, we're gonna have an open conversation. I'm gonna just talk to you guys like I would talk to a friend, because that's what I feel like we are. I really feel like anyone who watches my videos right now, I do feel like we're friends, and I feel like I can trust you. So anyway, I feel like I struggled with an eating disorder up until I was probably about 19. I got over that one a lot easier than most people do, and I feel really, really lucky for that. But I did struggle with self-harm and depression a lot longer than that. So I guess we'll do a play-by-play. So now we're at about my freshman year of high school. This was like a pretty low point for me for a lot of reasons. Like my social life was really good, but I don't think that I was healthy at all. That was also my lowest weight, if we're gonna bring it back to the eating disorder thing. So I'm 5'7", I'm pretty tall, and I think I was at like 97 pounds, which is really, really small for how my body is now. All bodies are beautiful. Everyone has like a different like body weight where they feel like they're their healthiest. 97 pounds for me was not my healthiest. So I was at a really low point there, but I do feel like my depression was a little bit better at that point. I don't know, this was like kind of a weird point in my life where I was like really, really happy at times, and then my lows were pretty low. I was still going through, this was probably the point in my life where I self-harmed the most too. And then, yeah, I still didn't really know what was going on. I also don't think that anyone knew like how serious my feelings were. I think that a lot of people just put it together as like, well, she is a 14-year-old girl, like they are emotional, they go through things, they are moody and mad at their parents and all that kind of stuff. So I think people just kind of grouped that all together. I also didn't know how serious it was, because so many people were telling me like, whatever. And then we go to my sophomore year of high school, got pretty low at this point. It's just all kind of a blur. The hard thing is too, for so long after I feel like I had started to recover a little bit from this kind of stuff, I stopped thinking about it. I disassociated myself from it. I was like, I'm not gonna let that define me anymore, thinking that's what I needed to do. It wasn't. So if you're going through that right now, where you feel like, okay, I feel happy right now, I feel like I'm finally like finding myself and coming together and all of that, it's okay to still think about or talk about what happened in your past, because I just was like, that's not me anymore, not me, not gonna think about it, whatever. And that has not been effective. So that's why it's kind of hard for me to bring back all of those memories, is because I literally, like, if you were friends with me in high school, you might know some of this stuff about me. But if you're my friend now, because I live in a different state and I'm not around the same people anymore, you probably don't have any clue at all this is something that I went through. Like, I do not talk about it. Or if I do, it's just like very briefly, you know, something I struggled with in the past, but it's okay. Like, it's not me anymore. It's So that's another reason it's really scary to talk about, is because I literally do not talk about it anymore. Like, and I don't think that's right, because I'm so passionate about wellness and mental health, and I feel like that's why that's what I want my channel to be, and what I want my social media platforms to be, is to be like mental health awareness and wellness and taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. Like, that's my true passion. And I think there's so many things that can be looped into that, and that's what I want to really talk about and bring people together with. That's like the main reason I'm going through and talking about all this stuff, is because I want to show you guys why I care so much about it. Man, I'm literally like, my brain is all over the place. So, go through my sophomore year of high school, progressively getting worse. I think at this point is when I started to self-diagnose myself with things. At this point, I had not been diagnosed with anything, but it was getting a little bit worse. I was really hard to be around, I think, for a lot of people, which is fair. Move on to my junior year of high school. At this point, I had danced my whole life. I was on the dance team my freshman and sophomore year. I didn't dance this year. I started doing really bad in school. I failed a lot of my classes. I went downhill my junior year. I think that's when it all like exploded. It was a hard year. I did have a suicide attempt and had to stay at a state and mental facility for a little bit, just to keep myself safe. I'm so thankful that I went through that experience. It was really hard, and talking about it is like really hard for me to talk about, because it was definitely lowest of low for me. I haven't been that low since, thank goodness. But yeah, that happened, and I think that's when I maybe realized how serious it was. That's when I was diagnosed with certain things. So after I got out of the hospital, I was more aware, I think, is what happened more than anything. I was maybe hyper aware, and I still wasn't in like a great place, but I was definitely better. I learned a lot of skills there. And then I did a little bit of therapy after that. I learned all the coping skills I use even today when I was in the stay-in facility and in therapy. So that's when I really, I think that I was hoping that it would be like a magic fix when I got out of there, and it wasn't. It's something I still have to work on every single day. Not as much now as I used to, but I finished out my junior year. I didn't do very well in school still. I still struggled with like self-harm and stuff like that, and I was just still not my best self. Then we get to my senior year of high school. This is when my life started to turn around a little bit. There was like a flip where I was like, okay, this isn't how I want to live my life anymore. And I also started getting really obsessed with like all the wellness stuff. I'm still obsessed with to this day, but that's when it really started, was like right before my senior year. So I stayed in Utah for a few months when my family was gone, and then I ended up moving to Texas my senior year of high school. When I had, I think, 5 months left before I graduated, that's when I met Jacob, who I am marrying, and he has been a whole lifesaver for me. I will never, ever say that someone else saved me. I do not think that's true. I don't think that anyone should ever say that. I don't think you need to put that pressure on anyone, because no one can save you. You have to save yourself. But with that being said, the people that you're around have a huge impact on you and how you feel mentally. I feel like he was one of the first people who ever took me seriously and listened to me, and he just knew, it was weird. That's why It's honestly crazy. Like, he just knew how to be there for me. So if you're a loved one of someone who has a mental illness, a lot of times what they need is not for you to give them advice. It's not for you to give them a pity party. It's just to be there and listen to them, and see them. Give them space to speak and show them, like, I'm listening and I care about what you're saying. And that's what he did for me, and it was the biggest blessing ever. So, senior year of high school, moved to Texas. I still struggled a little bit at this point in my life, but I was like so much better. I really feel like you just have to make the decision for yourself when it comes to depression to want to get better, and then you can go on the road of recovery. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you, I appreciate you. But that was just like, I guess I should talk about how I'm feeling now. So, graduated high school, moved back to Utah, did all my things, and I feel like after high school is really when I found myself. I have gone through a lot of this, figuring out who I am. I feel like I finally really decided who I am, what I want to be, who I want to be, how I want myself to be portrayed. And I feel like my mental health is actually better than ever, and I'm so thankful. But with that being said, it is something that I have to work on pretty consistently, and that's why whenever I share different like mental health tips or wellness tips or whatever you want to call it on my channel or other social media platforms, that's why I'm sharing them, is because they are the things that I feel like keep me going. And I'm really going to try to work harder at being more open and vulnerable with you guys and talk about why I'm doing the things that I do, not just showing you that I do them. I feel like it's so important to take care of yourself mentally and be there for yourself mentally and really prioritize that. I put my mental health above anything else. I really do, because I do not ever want to go back to the low point that I've been at before. And if you are at a super low point right now, just know that you really can get to a place in your life where you're not at that point anymore. It can happen for you. It happened for me. It's happened to different people in my life, and you just have to work on it. You know what I mean? You have to surround yourself with people who make you feel good, and you have to be a person who makes you feel good, if that makes sense. As soon as I decided that I wanted to make myself feel better and started putting in the work to make myself feel better, I felt better. And of course, it's not that easy. It sounds a lot easier than it is. So that is my mental health story, my mental health life story, I guess. I hope that you guys feel like you know me a little bit better now, and I hope that you guys feel like you understand more why I talk about the things I talk about. So you can expect more videos talking about wellness and mental health after this, but still lifestyle stuff. It'll be kind of a mixture. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week for another one.